What's he got? I want to hear more from him. So it's working.
Yeah.
Oh,
Cool. Good.
Are you recording?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely. Recording me.
You want to go ahead and start?
Yeah, I can.
You want to get the camera so that people can see you?
Oh, no, I'm good.
They can see him.
Yeah, you can hear me. So hopefully, if not, it's gonna be good. I'm gonna try not to get too emotional too, but today. So today I want to present something, an idea, but also I truly just want to make sure I share my heart, but more importantly, get some really great feedback from this as much as possible. So I'm so glad all of you are here because I know it's gonna be great with your mind and a few other minds in the room too. So a little bit more about me, because this is going to tell you a little bit about me. So remember Caruthersville, Missouri, okay? I'm from Caruthersville, Missouri. It's the southeast part of Missouri, small town like Cuba. My graduation class was, I think, 80 for us. And this area is, I'll just tell you this way, the crime rate, which I was looking it up this morning, crime rate for Caruthersville right now is 56 per 1,000 right now in our area. And it's just redundant, like really, truly, honestly. And one thing that happened for me was I had an opportunity to leave. So my year of 2005 of graduation class, I had a guy to come to our my school and came to our music class, and he was like, man, I'm here just to try to help students, help them out as much as possible, but give them an opportunity to change their life. And I was one of the recipients of a music scholarship to Messenger College. Okay, remember Messenger College too? So I was like, okay, cool, this is awesome. So this actual teacher literally moved me from Caruthersville to Joplin, Missouri. Like me and two other knuckleheads. And I was like, dude, this is so crazy. He literally came down to my mom, grabbed my few items that I had, and drove us back here. And I was like, man, where's this place? One, Joplin, two, Messenger College. I'm like, okay. So I also had a background in church. I grew up in Pentecostal church too, as well. So Messenger College is an Assemblies of God organization. So it went really, really well with my beliefs and background for that. So I got here, had a chance to change my life. So then I got connected with a church here, Destiny Church. And one of their, might as well say, mission statements of the church is love God, love people, and teach others to do the same. And I'm like, man, this is so good. I'm like, man, I get to meet so many people, because I obviously, coming from an area that I don't know anybody, coming from also an area of, no offense to anyone, but everyone looked like me. And then coming to an area that I am a minority, and it's just different. And trying to find common places for church, for friends, associations, stuff like that was just really, really hard. But I ran into Destiny Church and met so many great people from there too, which one couple, Jeremy and Darcy, at that time too as well. So I kind of got plugged in a little bit with Jeremy and Darcy, kind of plugged in with the church a little bit, Destiny Church. But then as well, again, I got a music scholarship, and I'm trying to continue to grow myself in music, which has been really, really great. But then life happens. I get a girl pregnant at Messenger College. That doesn't happen.
Work on your phrasing. Work on your phrasing. You can deliver that a little bit better.
But that's the truth. I'm gonna just tell the truth. So Messenger college man at a Christian school. You know, you're supposed to get kids before being married, but hey, it happened.
When you first one dressed me.
So it happened. So then this guy that I had, his name was, which I'm gonna give, is Dr. Thomas Joel Griffin. He was a guy that mentored me. He was a guy that, one, brought me from an area that basically 56% of violence is happening, period, to an area to give an opportunity to change, to develop, to grow, to innovate, and associate with other people, other like-minded people. So, so as time went by, like I said again, life happened. Now, I only have one kid. I have 4 kids. And the last one is stopped. My wife made sure that one. Like that's the ending. So I got 4 beautiful kids. And I got a lovely wife that's going to be 8 years this month on the 19th, which is awesome too as well. But Joel Griffin, Dr. Thomas Joel Griffin. So in 2020 of October, he lost his life due to a car accident that was in Springfield, Missouri. And I never really like talked about him as much, even till one of my best friends is here. What he has truly done for me, what he has truly did for not just only me, 2 other knuckleheads that I mentioned about at high school that I still talk to. And he has a tremendous legacy. He truly does, has a tremendous legacy. And it's just not only us, because I was talking to his wife last night before I wanted to present this, and I was like, I had to get the okay before I did this. But she was like, absolutely. And I told her, I said, you know what Joel talked about to me? He said, man, there are students that's going to be 4.0 students. There are students that's going to be 3.0 students. But I want to go after the kids that is 2.0. That was me. Just the 2.0 students that didn't think that they could make it anywhere, didn't think that they could be able to go anywhere, and didn't think that they can be able to create something. And I'm like, man, that truly was me. And she's like, absolutely, that was you. And Greg and Tequila, which is my other 2 knuckleheads that we all came here with on scholarships, and that he's changed. So, so he went to Messenger. He was the music director for Messenger. Then he transferred to, well, now she just told me that they're going to change their name down to Texas. It was SAGU, was the Christian, another Assemblies of God University. He was a director there. And then he came back to Springfield area to Evangel. And that's where he finally finished his doctorate degree, as well as they created a, let me see it, I gotta get to it again, because she sent it to me last night. They created a endowment in his name there. So now, what I'm gonna get to now, I need your help with, okay? So, the mission statement of the church, Joel, is that love God, love people, and teach other people to do the same thing. And I want to be able to, I don't know how this can happen. I want to be able to create, it could be a scholarship, it could be a award, it can be just a general foundation, it can be a non-profit or whatever it should be in his name, because there's not just only me, there's other people that he has touched that he has truly gave other opportunities to, and they just need to know that 2.0, they matter. And she and the wife and the whole family in agreement of whatever we want to do, she's cool with it. So I don't know how I can start something just like locally first. You know what I mean? This is his backyard too as well. And I want to try to incorporate the community here, because when I moved from Carruthersville to here, my community grew bigger. Like, I was so used to being, you know, in a small area where I knew everybody, but it's different. Like, when I got here, it's like it felt the same way when I connected with people, that my community grew. So I wanted to be able to do that, but give that to, you know, junior or high school students, or even undergrad students at the college, give them opportunity to keep pushing, keep going, because of somebody that love God, love people, and are teaching them to do the same. So my questions that me and Andy Griffin already talked about. This is my first one. What would be things, if you heard about this, would lead you to contribute and donate? Whether that's, I gave examples, since he's a music guy, music scholarship or award or whatever that could be. Second follow-up to that, what things we need to change to please viewers? So terminology-wise, like what do I need to say, or what do the website needs to say to draw in viewers? And then lastly, who would you think or suggest I connect with in setting up a nonprofit or a foundation or something, you know, with schools? Because I do, again, I want to use my backyard. I want to give back here as much as possible, because this endowment too, just so you know, they have revenue balance or principal balance as of March 31st of 2023, $17,052 just sitting there. So they said the endowment to be fully funded, it had to be, she thinks it's like $20,000 in order for it to actually be on Evangel's website, and then people can apply for it. So, and I was thinking of, you know, fundraising things too. So I have some ideas, but.
So do you plan, are you partnering with that endowment at all,
Well,
or to fund it, or is this just a side by side with a similar mission?
Similar mission. She said, I asked her last night, would she want me to still incorporate the endowment or keep it the same? She said just be free with it. We don't have to necessarily stay within the endowment at all, but we can change it. So there was some ideas that was given to me, like maybe was thinking Griffin's Gifts Foundations or something. So I'm like, okay, that's a cool name. I like that. So let's answer your question, yes. It can be similar, but also different.
Would they be willing to, what I was wondering is, like, if you established a foundation and work towards like figuring out, okay, we want to be able to award 1 or 2 scholarships a year, would they consider funding that first year so that you establish what those guidelines are, then from that, you're not asking them to be always the fund of it, but to help put that seed money in so that you could start making an impact, getting that story to create that vision. And I think, you know, figuring out, like, are you gonna specify that it's going to fund a specific, to go to Evangel or to go to Messenger or to go to a certain place, or if there's just a specified demographic that can apply, you know what I mean, like setting up those things. But I think, we just set up a foundation for the chamber, 2020? And so I'm no expert on it, but Jeff Meredith does a lot with helping set up foundations, and I'm sure you guys have a lot of resources with that, or maybe. Yeah, I mean, but it really wasn't that difficult to do that, just having kind of a base to go on. But like I said, if they'd be willing to figure out like what amount of is it a scholarship, or you think like?
So the initiation of getting me here to Joplin, I was just thinking, just beginning stage, and I know costs kind of went up now, because let's say it this way, gas, food for a college student, and money for clothes is just crazy now, but that's what I was thinking of, like getting students out of a place where they can be able to have those other opportunities, not fund everything at all, because the one thing about him, he wants them to have skin in the game.
Right.
So enough to effective to get you to a place where your feet is deep down, and then see how far you can go. So just to answer your question, hopefully it does. But yes, I'm thinking to kind of grow it too, if God leads it that way. But start, something small. So maybe a couple $100, or just $2,000 or $3,000 or $5,000, whatever it is, the cost of it, just to move from one place to another, and just to get here and pay for administration and pay for books and whatever the hell, just to start. Boom, like that's it.
Well, I think, go ahead. I just think you gotta have some kind of a vehicle first.
Right.
Of either, partnering with your church, cause they're already a 501c3, and it could be a program they have. Or like you said, you could continue with them, and that they already have a foundation set up, so you already have a vehicle for people to make donations. Or you can just start your own 501c3, one of the three. But you need to have a vehicle somehow to do that. That's probably your first thing.
Okay.
But then I think you need to be more specific on exactly what the offering is, or, what the grant is for, let's say. So people can apply, but what are they applying for?
Okay.
Yeah, I think being very specific, especially at first, and that could also always broaden. And that was kind of the advice when we set up like our foundation, because we didn't have a super specific thing that we wanted to do exactly. We wanted it to have that organization there, so it could be the potential for a broad range of projects in the future that aligned with it. But I think being specific about, I think it's easier to get people to commit when they know exactly what you're doing, what they're committing to, what you're doing. And so to start, that might be something smaller than what your future vision is.
Right.
But to get that belief and trust that you are gonna do what you say you're gonna do, it's gonna make an impact, and then build on that as you build that.
So the only other thought I had is that maybe you could establish whatever the grant is for, like you said, housing, whatever, but maybe you could partner with Messenger, or Missouri Southern, or Crowder, or somebody, and say, hey, if we award this, can you guys come along and give a grant or something for their actual tuition? So maybe, I'm just making it up, maybe Crowder, you partner with them, but you're gonna give a $2,500 grant if they will do a $5,000 grant towards their tuition. Just a thought.
So, I just wanna thank you for sharing a great story about how higher education changes lives, so thank you for doing that. We don't hear enough of those lately. If you did your own foundation, because you're under, I believe the cutoff is $50,000 in initial revenue, it's not that hard. It's a fairly simple form. The delay is going to be, you're gonna have to wait several months to get the approval from the IRS. And I'm not an accountant. An accountant could give you a much better answer than me. I just know from working with some business consulting clients back in Idaho, that's the case. If I were doing this, just a couple thoughts. I think I would probably initially partner with the church. I think, since there seems to be ties to the Assembly of God, I think maybe getting several congregations within that kind of go that way maybe. The only downside with that, Johnny, is that you kind of lose a little bit of control in the process, because if it goes through another foundation or it goes through another 501c3, you know, their vision's going to get kind of mixed into that. Eventually, it's going to become pretty much entirely their thing. So be aware of that. That's the flip side of it.
Okay.
Now, the other thing I would say, it's kind of on the marketing side of things, and you were kind of asking about that. People give to charities because they feel like an emotional pull to it, and you did a wonderful job of sharing your story. And I wouldn't be afraid, as you're comfortable, to share that and share that story of others, how this professor did great things and how this charity is being established. And I think it's more, there's a better story than just helping students here. That's a great thing. But I think there's a great lesson from this man's life about how he was impactful and how he's an example, even though he is no longer with us on this earth, how his example can go forward and be an example and teach others, you know, the great value of helping students in similar situations. I don't think I'd refer to them as knuckleheads on the website, but by the way, Johnny, I like a 2.0 coming out of high school, so I totally get what you're saying. I totally do, and so I just want to encourage you. If there's some way I can help you, let me know. So God bless you on this. Thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah. Thank you.
On the marketing side, the thing that kind of resonated with me is when you said 2.0 matters, like it's almost like tag.
I agree with you on that too.
Clearly, I mean, and I think we all shake our heads at that, but
Yeah,
yeah,
that jumped out at me.
like 100%, like 2.0 matters. Like, I mean, that's gonna resonate with people. It's gonna resonate with potential applicants for this, you know, at-risk youth, whatever that may be. You know, that's gonna resonate with them, because I think a lot of times they may feel like there isn't a future. You know?
Well, I think
There's-
if you've ever, I mean, I participated in the scholarship award ceremony for the school district. And there was just the same students getting thousands and thousands of dollars, and not that they don't deserve it,
I agree.
but wow, they're not gonna use all that.
Yep.
I mean, so to really focus in on like, how can we make a difference to those that aren't, and maybe their situation didn't, you know, because a lot of times you see those that are excelling, they've had everything lined up to make it that way. Not, and I don't want to discount that there's a lot of hard work in that, but sometimes the situation just doesn't allow people to get, even if they have the want to and they may not have the financial needs to have the things they need at home to support them in that, or they may be having to work full time while they're doing, you know, they can't be in the programs that they would really excel in.
Right.
And so I like that message too. I immediately, my marketing brain was like, 2.0, that's a good name right there.
So I would definitely run with that somehow, some way, you know, so.
Man, that's great.
And it's, you know, we grew up the same way. So for me, I'm like, okay, how do you empower a student and give this scholarship, but also you got to do it in a way to where it's just like, oh, you know, this is not a handout. You know, like you worked for this, and so figuring out how to mesh the two, and you know, you might get with like organizations like Higher Power Garage or you know, Washington Hope Center, people who house families. How cool would it be to be like, okay, you know, we're gonna follow your journey from here. You know, so that single mom that had to get a car from Higher Power Garage, well, what's her kid doing now? You know, how are they staying connected? And then it's like, okay, you know, we've known you overcome these obstacles and you still have a 3.0 GPA, or you know, you're showing up class. We're gonna help you with the next step so that you don't have to go through what you grew up going through. And then now they have a story that is now on the website that is now posted, like, you know, and so figuring out how to follow people's journeys, whether it's through the Boys and Girls Club and taking that kid and following their journey. I think this is something that builds on, you know.
Yeah, establishing that
Yeah.
relationship through it, because it was very apparent that it wasn't just that he helped you. You felt his relationship and his care more than maybe even the financial. Like, you knew someone believed in you, and so how do you establish that? And so that might be that you have, you know, if you're probably a foundation, you're gonna have a board. So if those people that are willing to serve with you are really offering not just a financial or advisory, but they're willing to be that be part of those people's lives, to invest a little bit of their knowledge and interest in them. Because when I think of, you know, in my life, I shared my mom passed away when I was 13, and there were so many people that were so invested in that, and just making sure, not that that I felt like because I didn't. I had a great family and support system, but I had so many people that really always were there and involved in my life as mentors, as just care. Like I never felt like, not that I didn't feel like I didn't lose my mom, but I never felt like I was alone, you know, in that journey. And so that is so important to kids, to people, that they just have that person that is a trusted advisor to them, a mentor, and so in different areas of your life, that can mean so much in where you are and where you end up. So.
Can I ask you a question?
Please.
Do you think, and this is kind of gonna be a hard one because it's a what if,
It's good.
but for your situation and for a lot of student situations who are, you know, tough family lives, tough, you know, Brothersville, had a lot of crime, do you think if you wouldn't have moved to Joplin, it would have been the same outcome? Like if you would have stayed in Brothersville, would it have had the same impact? Or how much leaving that area and being transplanted had an impact as well? Because I wonder that because, not that I don't think Joplin students are deserving or anyone in this area, just because there's like 16% of Joplin school students are homeless or something like that.
More
Like,
than that.
technically, yeah,
More than that.
I mean, I think, yeah, it's something crazy like that.
It's a
So-
lot more than that.
Okay, so there's definitely a need here, but I'm wondering if you don't transplant someone away from
Their
situation,
influence.
their environment,
Yeah.
how beneficial or how much success are we going to see? Because that's hard. I mean, it's hard not only to be transplanted somewhere else, I totally get that, but it's hard that when you have something to fall back on, like bad influences in your
Mhm.
area, it can be your own family.
It's like rehab.
Yes,
You
exactly.
don't go to rehab and then it's just fixed. Then you go right back home to
To
mom or
the
dad that's
crack.
smoking crack or whoever.
Exactly.
And then you're immediately
Or your
back in.
friends.
Yeah, so is that the
Yeah.
focus, to maybe take
We
people
have to take
from,
people-
I mean, is that like a mission for you to like change people's lives there and expose them here?
That's why this
Make sure there's no
But,
party.
yeah,
No,
and so-
I can answer that for sure, 100%.
Okay.
I've been telling people this. If Dr. Joel Griffin didn't literally take me from Carruthersville to here, I would probably be those that
Yeah.
stack,
Yeah.
100%.
So, it probably, I mean, you do what you wanna do, but
Yeah.
I would think that part of the mission is
Yes.
to remove people from where they're at, and they have to
Mhm.
go somewhere else, and be there.
Yeah. So that's where I want to go
Right, okay.
with this, is that taking them out of their uncomfortable or comfortable stage
Sure.
to an uncomfortable stage, which went from Carruthersville to Joplin. That's why it was so uncomfortable for me, because I didn't know anybody. I didn't know where to get certain things. I didn't know how to get certain things. So then I had to rely on that one person that gave me that hand. I had to message him. I had to call him. And he eventually made me come to his house. Like, his wife literally, like, I told her last time, I'm like, girl, your cooking was so fire when I was at your house. She's like, I fell off. I said, no, you haven't. I'm like, I know you haven't. And I was like, Joel talked about your fried chicken. I'm like, girl, it was good. But yeah, it's like literally taking them away to get them to a person that they only got to talk to and trust, and they're like, okay.
Gives
What
you the
do you think?
opportunity. I think sometimes you can't be maybe who you want to be if you're still, if the people that view you still view you as something you're not. Or, you know,
Yeah.
even if you completely want to change, if they're never gonna see that in you or believe in you, then you can't be that.
So a lot of people said, they're like, man, you have not been back to Carruthersville, and I haven't. I truly haven't. I feel bad because I felt bad because I left the place where I grew up, and I blood, sweat, and tears at that location, and family died at that location. I have not been back there since then. But now this, and I said to my Greg and Tequila, I'm like, maybe this will give me the opportunity to come back now, but with a message, but with a purpose to help somebody else move. Whether that is still like we're so close to Arkansas and Tennessee and even Kentucky, because Kentucky is literally right there in that section. I'm like, if I can literally take those 2.0 students and move them away to areas that make them vulnerable, that's going to change that generation on generations.
This vision is big, and so I would just like make sure you keep your why and your what, but like someone else said, start small, figure out where you can go and continue to build that. But like, I mean, I see like, I mean, you have to have like a network.
I know.
People.
Okay, people. And like, I almost feel like this is like I see big brothers, big sisters, but on a college level.
Yeah.
You know, happening. So whenever they transition from high school, because a lot of those kids that you're talking about, they're not going to transition. We didn't have any clue about finances. We didn't have any clue about how to foster relationships. We didn't have. So it's like, okay, like, hey, there's a lot that you missed, but we still see the potential in you. So this is what we're going to do. So getting them in the room of like 1 million cups whenever they get transitioned and surrounded where they change, literally change their mindset. And so like that's what I see on a bigger scale. But it's just like figuring out where do you start referrals.
And what colleges, I mean, would you, if you're saying it's over on the Boot Hill, then Arkansas State is right there.
Yeah, Jonesboro, Arkansas, yes. I haven't been to Jonesboro in a minute either. I don't know. Did you really?
Yeah, I'm from Arkansas. Did you know
Yeah,
that?
that's right.
Yeah.
So I know I got connections there, but
because that's gonna be my question: is if you have these kids that you're pulling out of places, you can't be at all these places to manage them.
Right, absolutely.
So, John, I was just gonna say, another suggestion here, I'm a big believer in earned media. And earned media is, basically getting your story, what you're trying to accomplish in the press. If I were doing this, what I would do is I would write up like a column talking about this professor and kind of the impact and kind of this charitable effort you're going. And I think the stories that have a human interest angle to it, helping youth, related to education, I think would be a good story. And I think there's probably a lot of media outlets that would like to help. And then something else you might think about too is see if you can find like kind of a big name champion that could get behind this in the area. I mean, there's a lot of businesses, there's a lot of organizations, there's a lot of folks that are very philanthropic that have a vested interest in education. And what you're kind of showing is kind of a Horatio Alger story of people pulling themselves up by their bootstraps, and that's a very American thing. People like that. So I just think getting that story out there, that's going to be really important. So that's just my advice.
Oh yes, I know. Oh yeah.
Okay, I got two things for you. One, if you want to do a fundraiser, I think you should reach out to Pro Musica because I think they would be a great one to like because I think most of their concerts are free, but I think their Pops concert they sell tickets for, and they're all about music. And so if you want to go kind of that route first, great. Second, what's stopping you from just starting at like, okay, you're gonna go down to Crothersville or the Boot Hill somewhere, grab a kid and bring it back here? Like, could that not be your first trial? Because again, I'm afraid if you're sending them down to Arkansas, we're crossing state lines and we're getting wonky. Two, I know that the drive from here to Crothersville sucks, and so no one wants to make that drive. I mean, it does.
Yeah.
Three, I know some educators, and they're like Lopatello, Alden area,
Yeah,
but I could probably find someone to get in contact with you.
Okay.
If you want to be like, hey, the connection down there, that's in my head for
Okay. Yeah, please.
Yeah, I think you should do that first because Arvest has a foundation. And I'm thinking if you came to me, I wouldn't donate to you right now.
Right.
And because your why isn't honed in. You know what I mean? I need to know the story. I need to know for certain where the money's go. I need more from you, for me as a bit or as a foundation to give you money to support these. And not saying what you're doing isn't important, but just as if you're going to go out and solicit donations and tell that message, I need more. I need more meat to it for me to write a $5,000 check to support these kids.
Perfect. Well,
Which
I'm
we
glad
would
you
do.
did.
Which is something the foundation does.
Okay, well, I'm glad to hear that, and that's why I'm wanting to start this, because to your point, Professor Dan, I want this to finesse. I
Yeah.
want this to be excellence. Joel did not do anything
Right.
half. He did not gave 50%. He gave 200%. So I want to do this at 400% for him to make it excellent. Give it the time that it needs to build a team, building a foundation if it needs to. I don't know, or just a couple people for the moment to let it run. Then to give that's why I'm talking to Andy, to give the details of what needs to happen when looking for a charitable donation, as well as the bigger names, to get it out there, to spread it. But I love that idea of going after Assemblies of God, because his dad was a pastor. He was of Assemblies of God's church.
Man, if you can get them to do a Sunday offering to donate to your organization.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
It would honestly would give the Assemblies of God an opportunity to celebrate one of their own.
Mhm.
I mean, we all need examples. I mean, that's why sports have Hall of Fames.
Right.
Is they want to highlight best practices.
Yes.
And here's a pastor that's going out, not just preaching,
Right.
but going out and doing something in a very Christ-like manner. And that's awesome.
I love his point about earned media. Before you get to that, have all that solidified. As former media, if you came to me, I would again be more to be able to make that a really great story and have a catch with it.
Like testimonies too, as well.
Build a website out that's got all this information and have the foundation or 501c3, whatever you decide to do with it, just have it all formalized and real. Just have all that stuff for it. And I almost would rather, go to Caruthersville and do this. Do it one
Like
time
so.
for what you did.
Right.
So then it's not necessarily for the media, not necessarily about you, it's about what you did for them. And then in that story, and here's how you can help.
Right.
Because at the end of the story, it's going to be, there's this great organization doing these great things. Okay, bye.
So,
How do you want to donate? Do you need
Yeah.
help? What you there? There's got to be something to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
so
Oh, go ahead, Will.
Okay.
No,
I was
I'll
like,
be next.
just on that note, I mean, you got your story, of what happened, but like you said, let's say you came up with $5,000, okay, and you made a connection, you found a kid, and you could walk them through this program. Well, then what that's gonna do is it's gonna give you another story, but you're gonna figure a lot of things out along the way
That too.
of what to do so that you can actually build that program and know, okay, this didn't work, this does work, whatever, and that way you say, okay, so here's what we actually put it into action, and here's what's happened.
And
So I think that would be powerful, like I said, whatever you're.
on any
promoting,
scale, when you go to
talking
try to get donations, when you go to these
Right.
Assemblies of God, when you literally go anywhere, you got to have people buy or interested in the why.
about.
And the
Right,
why and
Yeah.
what they're what's
What
gonna
they can
happen
do,
with it. Like
yeah.
they can't just be this random amount that.
You're right.
Yeah.
Well,
I
and
know what that's
speaking
for.
legally, you need to have all this stuff in writing. And like, let's say you do try to pluck this knucklehead out, and he doesn't change, and he's still a knucklehead, and he's wasting your $5,000 at whatever college, drinking and smoking or doing whatever. You gotta pluck him back and send him back to where you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to waste your money on somebody, right? I don't know if it's a 3 strike. You need to think that through. You need to think through what he would have done and how you want to handle that. Because you're lucky, right? You listened to what he had to say. He led you and taught you, but you're gonna end up with somebody that won't.
You probably could borrow a
You
scholarship.
and my dad, you know what I mean? Like, you gonna end up with that one kid that you're like,
Yeah.
oh, man, like,
And he just won't listen. He won't change.
I'm saved, I'm not soft. Don't get the two mixed up. But
Right.
I think I think one thing is like what I envision is as far as your process is like really think about like a PEX card or something like that where they have a certain amount of space and they gotta snap the receipts and then they snap the receipts and then that card gets loaded for food starting next month. So they can only be charged for certain things and they're not going out doing those things. And so I think that that's what people like Austin and some of these Assembly of God are gonna wanna see, like, okay, well, you're giving them money to help for food and stuff, well, how is it? And then you can be like, okay, well, we have a PEX card, they have to snap the receipt, we see it in real time, and then it doesn't get loaded again until the next month, so they have to figure out budgeting and everything else in between, all of that stuff. So those little tiny details are gonna help with, everything, but I'm excited about this, man.
And there's a ton of local banks that are located. closely located in Springfield. But seriously, you need somebody on the financial side too, talking about that card. Like, you don't need to be doing that. Your board doesn't need to be doing that, because then you're crossing into making sure money's being spent right. So somebody who is an expert in the field needs to be handling this for you. But then that can, because you're gonna have to.
I feel like he wants to be on your board. Just volunteer.
Marketing. No, don't. Boy, I'll find somebody else to do this part. I'll do marketing all day, and to earn media. But I think you're going to need you need experts on your side, legally, financially, because it's going to be a lot for you and this family to try to take on. And I don't want to see it end up in a situation where money goes out the wrong way, and then your board or whoever's like, well, where'd that go? Or the IRS, God willing, they don't come after you, but the IRS is like, well, how'd you spend that money? You're like, oh, he's got a card. I don't know, I loaded it and he did this. Just somebody to really keep that stuff legit for you.
Okay.
To make it last.
Just a second, I was a minister for decades, and I've raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for various organizations.
Second board member.
Number one, I would contact Brian Bowles. He's a financial person here. He set up some endowments at the college. He's really good at this. I don't know how easy he is to just grab an appointment with, but that's somebody that I would talk to right away. And then the other thing is, I would narrow your focus, because the people that are going to be most likely to donate to this are people that are familiar with that man and his ministry. And so, the earned media would be like in the Messenger College Alumni magazine, where you do an article on that magazine, and then you talk about what you're doing. The people that have been blessed by this man have this opportunity to do this, so that you can do it to others. So you start small, maybe you connect it to Messenger. That's probably the longest tenure that he had from the story you told me, because if in 2011, he was kind of still there, and then he bounced
And then it's about, yeah.
So I, as long as he left on good terms with that. But that would be a great resource for you to talk to Messenger and say, hey, this is what I want to do. I would like to do something for your school too. You don't need to be having this and say, oh, well,
Wherever
we'll send
you
wherever
go.
you want to go.
Yeah.
You say, hey, we're doing this. You're going to go down here. It's going to be great. And this is what we're doing. And you share that. And then the people that were touched by that man are going to be the people that are going to want to fund that endowment or foundation at the beginning. And then you can always expand it. But when you start small like that, really focused, you're going to have a lot more success. But I'm really trying to talk to Brian.
So Johnny,
Make sure I get his contact before you leave.
as you grow this development, the way to keep the ball rolling on this, I would say, is have an annual dinner, and then give out an award to somebody who's kind of exemplifying what Joel did, and that's just another way to kind of keep attention going on this, using the fundraising tool as well. So just another thought. So this is a great idea.
I was just gonna say, when you start building your board, when you're talking about nonprofit boards of time, talent, or treasure, what you need to think about. But I agree, I think Lori is the one that said this, really, before you just add any more there, I would highly consider, you don't want me on your board, okay? Because I've never lived that experience. I might be nice, maybe, I don't know, it's for you to tell. But I don't, and I would help as much as I could, but I don't have the capacity to really know what someone has gone through. We need people who have been in a situation like yours or similar, who maybe had a 2.0, you don't have to be grabbing GPAs as applying for the board or whatever, but maybe had a 2.0, were in a crappy situation, had a hard time, and have gone through and succeeded, to help mentor these kids, because that's what, Lori made an excellent point, your board needs to be helping you mentor them, and
Be invested.
being invested with their time and their own lived experiences, because I can talk to kids all day, but I've never been like that. And they don't care. There's plenty of people who have had similar lived experiences. You can go, yeah, my mom did drugs and she did this, and I did have to leave because we were so poor, and we lived on food stamps, and we were on TANF, and I did live that way. And this is what I did to get out of it. You don't have to follow this exact path, but you can see that I moved past that. That's who I really think you should focus on making those connections. You've already got Andy, he's been there. He's in GB. There's other people in the community that are just like that too.
And they're looking for ways to get back.
and they're looking for ways to get back. Absolutely.
Just like you.
Yeah, yes. And sometimes they don't want to create something like this, but they would love to be like, yeah, I could do that. I could help.
Not to be like contradictory,
Oh, go ahead.
but I had a former addict tell me when I said, well, the only people that can truly help addicts is other former addicts, and he's like, don't you ever say that again. I was like, wow. So what about a balanced board?
Yeah.
Those with the lived experience and those who maybe don't quite understand it but are willing to understand it and work towards the common.
Yeah.
Common goal, yeah.
For the financials and stuff too. That's an excellent point too, because I do think you need to have some people on there. It can't just be people who are like, that sounds great. I think I could maybe help, but then have never been through anything like
Or
that.
they just want another board.
Or they just want to be on a board.
Yes,
But do you provide
yes.
lunch?
Yeah.
If that's the
Right.
question, move away.
Yeah.
Okay. Definitely. Man, thank y'all so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you for just listening to us, and thank you for just your input. And I know this is gonna be great. Like for real. I know this is gonna be good.
You've got our numbers. Don't hesitate to call.
Sure. Thank y'all. Seriously, thank you so much.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
Yeah.
Thanks,